You're listening to School Counseling Simplified, a podcast with easy-to-implement strategies for busy school counselors. Here's your host, Rachel Davis from Bright Futures Counseling.
Do you ever have a kiddo pop into your office last minute and you need an activity to do quickly? Or do you ever wish you had access to hundreds of school counseling resources at your fingertips? Well, my Impact School Counselor membership is for you. Inside Impact, you get access to hundreds of resources sorted by topic, tier, season, or monthly lesson plans. Simply log on, find what you need, download it, and use it with your students right away. You also get access to our community where you can meet like-minded school counselors to troubleshoot tough cases, get inspired, and collaborate with your colleagues. Not only that, we also know how important it is to stay on top of your professional development. That's why we offer live quarterly trainings on hot topics that you need most. Impact is designed to make your counseling life easier. I know you're super busy. That's why I've made it super simple to access everything you need in one place. This way you can spend your time and energy doing what you love the most, helping kiddos. If you're looking for a one-stop shop for all of your counseling needs so you don't have to worry about searching on different sites, paying for things here and there, you can find everything you need on demand in one place in Impact. Head over to stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to watch a sneak peek video behind the scenes of what all is included in the membership. Again, that's stressfreeschoolcounseling.com/impact to get started today. I can't wait to help you make an impact. You're listening to another episode of School Counseling Simplified. Today, I interview school psychologist Heidi MacDonald. Heidi has developed an awesome system for minute meetings. She's been doing this for over 5 years and has found it so effective at her school. And I want to know, what are the details? How can we repeat this at our school sites? So she tells us exactly how she executes it, including the questions that she asks. This is really doable and has a profound result. I think you are going to love this episode with Heidi and going to learn a lot. Okay, let's dive in. Hi, Heidi. How are you today?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. I am trying to balance all the things. My kiddo just started preschool last week, and now he's sick. I feel like that always goes hand in hand, right?
That's right.
So just hanging, but happy to interview you today. You reached out to me a few months ago, and I am just so excited to talk to you.
Yeah, I am too. So thanks for having me on.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about who you are and your background in education.
Okay. So I'm a school psychologist in Connecticut. I think this is my 25th year of being a school psychologist. I know. And I started born and raised in Pennsylvania, very proud Pennsylvania girl. And did my bachelor's there in psychology. And then I did a master's in psychology and really kind of didn't know what to do with psychology at that point. So I promised myself that I was going to work for a couple of years in the field and then go back to school. So I ended up working at a facility for children with some pretty significant behavioral disorders. And what I tried to do there was every time I would have a meeting with someone who was a psychologist or a social worker or a counselor or a therapist, I would say to them, do you have 5 minutes after the meeting that I could talk to you and just talk to you about your job? So in doing that, I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of really great people, but sort of narrowed down the field of school psychology. And a lot of those folks had gone to the program that was at Penn State University. And so I applied there and graduated from there, worked in Pennsylvania for about 5 years, and then moved with my family to Connecticut. And we've been here ever since.
Amazing. Yes, I know what you mean because I have my bachelor's in psychology and you really can't do anything without further.
Or you don't even know what's out there. There's just so many, so many options that I think you don't even realize what they are.
Right. So I love that you were just like taking the initiative to ask people, hey, can I just ask you about your job especially before you're going to pay for more school and invest more time and everything. So I love that. Awesome. Yeah, I used to share an office with our school psychologist, and I feel like as a school counselor, we just really complemented each other well, and we collaborated well, and it was just a really cool relationship. So I love when schools have both school psych and school counselors. What does your school look like now?
So I'm here full time. I have one school, which is really nice. Doesn't happen with a lot of school psychologists I know. We actually do not have a school counselor. We do have a school social worker. And so we have, it's a third through fifth school. We have about 350-ish students. Yeah, pretty big special education population, but trying to do a lot of good things for kids.
Awesome. I know. I feel like the dream team would be a school counselor, school psych, and a school social worker.
I would agree completely.
Have that. Tell us, because I know it's rare. But tell us about, what does a day in the life look like for you as a school psychologist?
Right. So I was thinking about this. My day starts kind of early. I try to go to the gym before school because I know if I let it wait until after school, a lot of things get in the way. So I go to the gym about 5 a.m. And I always laugh when I listen to your show because your idea of like batching, I like batch everything, right? So like I batch my gym clothes, right? On Sundays, I put my 5 little,
I love that.
Oh yeah, I batch everything. So try to go to the gym at 5 in the morning and then go home and get ready really, really fast. In order to be out the door in time. And then what I try to do is I'm always listening to podcasts. And what I try to do is listen to a podcast that has something to do with where I'm going. So when I get in the car in the morning, if I know that I have a meeting about a student who has ADHD, I'll just search ADHD for podcasts and listen to something on the way. So I do that. And then sometimes in the morning, I have some of our extracurricular clubs that I run. I run the American Sign Language Club at school, and I run the drama club at school. So that happens before school starts. And then once school starts, greeting students is a big thing in the mornings, or like check in, check out with them. Usually once school gets started in the morning, I try to do my testing. So that would be a little bit of different from what a lot of your listeners have, that assessment piece. So try to get the testing done in the morning. And then afternoons are groups and individual sessions for counseling. We do all of our meetings on one day of the week. So all of our IEP meetings are on Wednesdays. So Wednesday's a bit different than everything else. Try to get some emails in there. And then after school, 2 days a week, I go and teach at a local university in their school psychology program. So I go and do that. And then and get home in the evening, eat dinner kind of late, do some report writing and some more emails, and then go to bed.
Oh my goodness. I love it though. It sounds like you have a lot of like productivity hacks. I love listening to a podcast. Yeah, that's great about what you're about to do, because then it's like top of mind. You might hear something you can share. Yeah, that's great. And then, so you are running groups and individuals because you don't have a counselor at your side. Okay.
Correct. So our school social worker does some of the mental health support as well. But right now, like this year, we've divided it out. I have all of the IEP students, and then she has all of the 504 and regular ed students.
Okay. And I like that you batch I don't know if it was your decision or just how your school does it, but your meetings are even batched, all your IEP meetings. Yeah. Kind of nice.
It is nice. It makes Wednesday pretty busy, but it's good. It's good to do it that way. I like it.
And I feel like Wednesday's a good day because you can prepare for it earlier in the week. And then that's nice. So what's something, I know you're not working with a counselor right now, but what's something you wish school counselors knew about the role of a school psychologist, or how you could work well with them if they have one at their site?
I was thinking about this, a lot of the overlap, right? There's a lot that we both can do. And there are certainly some things that are specific to our role, but I'm really thinking a lot about just this advocacy piece about advocating for schools to have all of the people, right? So your governing body, like my governing body is NASP, National Association of School Psychologists. All of those governing bodies have those ratios that we talk about, 1 to 250, 1 to 500. They only work if you have all those people involved, right? They're like, when they talk about the ratio, they're saying 1 to 250 for counselors, because they also believe that you need to have a school social worker and a school psychologist there. So like sometimes I think schools say, well, we're well within the ratio, but you might be the only person doing mental health. So actually you're not in the ratio.
That's such a good point.
Yeah. So I think, those commonality pieces, the pieces that we all can do is great. And no one should feel threatened or afraid that someone's, on their territory, because there's enough work for everyone to be doing. And I mean, I have seen a significant difference in the mental health needs of students in the last, I'm going to say 5 years. We're in some pretty big need with mental health, and I think we need all hands on deck.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So when you were reaching out to me about coming on the podcast, you mentioned that you have minute meetings, that you love to do minute meetings, and that these have worked well for you. So tell us all about that.
Yep. So we started minute meetings, I think maybe about 6 years ago, and it's not my original idea by any means. I completely stole it from someone, but tried to make it a little bit of my own. Looking at some different ways of doing some social emotional screeners for students, and we have a couple of other things in place that are more universal screeners, but looking at what our specific students needed. So I had come upon this idea of mental health professionals sitting down with every student in the building for this little mini interview. It literally takes a minute. And what we've done over the last 6 years, I came up with this list of questions, and I've asked the same 6 questions to the kids over the years. So it really does serve as one of our layers of identification for need from the student perspective, which is not what we were getting from when we were using the DESA or SABRS or something like that. That's teacher perspective, at least at this level. So it's giving us the student perspective, and being able to look at the data, the big data from year to year, which is really great. And then being able to put some different supports and services in place for students.
Yes, that sounds amazing. So how many years have you been doing this?
I think it's 5 or 6.
Oh, wow.
My principal and I were talking about that the other day. I think it might be 6 now.
Okay. And what are these 6 questions?
Yeah. So first, I want to say, there is a little bit of coordination with the teacher just to make sure that it's a good time. So I try to get into the classroom when I can have like a 45-minute block. And then I typically do the interviews in the hallway, just take 2 little chairs out there and then call the kids out. Like we do number order here, and number order seems to work. So, number 2 goes in, they say number 3, it's your turn. So I have already gone into the classrooms and introduced myself, usually on the first week of school, just to let students who maybe aren't familiar with the building or new students know that I'm a resource. Then I typically start to do minute meetings about maybe the 3rd week in September or so. So not right away. So I asked questions in this order. How is your school year going so far? And I have at this point automated it. So it's on an iPad. So I'm just filling it in as I'm talking to the students. So how's your school year going so far? And it's multiple choice. Pretty great, pretty good, okay, terrible.
Yeah.
The next question is, do you have friends at school? That's just yes or no. The next question is, do you know where my office is? The 4th question is there a grown-up at school that you could talk to if you had a problem? And if they say yes, then I say, who would be your first choice? And then the last questions are, is there anything that you think that your teacher should know about you for this year? And then the last question is there anything else that you'd like to talk with me about right now? Maybe something about home, something that's personal, anything like that. So that's it.
That's amazing. And how has this made like a positive impact at your school since you started implementing these?
Right. So the goal for, to have them be done like within that first month of school, one of my rationales for that was that I wanted to be able to share the big data with the teachers at the October faculty meeting. Okay. So typically I crunch all the data. So, I'm able to say, this many students say their year is going, good or better than that. This many students say that they don't have a friend at school. So that has really pushed us to do some different programming as far as supports. Also, then I have, if a student says something to the question, is there anything that you would like your teacher to know about you for this year? If they tell me that, then I say, would you want me to tell them? Would you like me to tell them that thing? Because sometimes kids will say something like, I'm really nervous to speak in class, or I don't like to be called on if I don't have my hand up, or something like that. So I've been able to, with their permission, then go back and share that information with that specific teacher. It has also helped us if a student is having a particularly tough time, either right then or at any course in the year, I'm able to go back into that spreadsheet and look and see what teacher did they say that
Yes.
they have a really great relationship with it. Because maybe that person is our bridge, right? Maybe that person, maybe it's last year's homeroom teacher. Can we have last year's homeroom teacher and this year's homeroom teacher talk to that student together? Right. So being able to identify who their safe person is, I think has been really valuable.
Yes, I love that piece. I'm thinking too, like even if a student was having a crisis or something and you want the best person to be there, someone they already have a connection with. I love that piece of knowing that. And then are you using the data, like, for example, do you have a friend at school? Would you form like friendship groups out of this?
We have, absolutely. We've done that. And I think that's been, really valuable. There's also been some times, individually, I feel like I have 100 stories that I could tell about things that kids have said over the years. But, the two that I think really stand out to me, the very first year that I did minute meetings, like the very first time, the very first kid, like this seems like it's made up, right? But literally the very first child that I did a minute meeting with said to me at the end, when I said, is there anything else you'd like to talk to me about? He said, yes. Is there anybody in this building that could help me with my speech? He said, I used to have speech services in my old school and I graduated, but now I feel like I have a problem with that again. Is there anybody here that could help me? And I said, there is, and I know her. I can connect you to her. That's right?
Amazing. Like,
it was the very first kid. That was really memorable. And then a couple of years ago, I was meeting with a 4th grade girl and I said, is there anything else you'd like to talk about? And she said, yes. She said, I have done research. I think I have depression.
Wow.
And I was like, what? Okay, tell me why you think that. Yeah. And she was right. Like, and I remember talking to her parents about that because I had called them and talked about this with them. And they said, no, that can't be. And all these reasons why. And then I talked to the teacher and the teacher didn't see it. And we ended up doing an evaluation of her and she was right. And we would have never known that. Right. Or it would have taken a while to unearth it. We probably would have figured it out. But I think that the out of the mouths of babes sometimes, right? Mm-hmm. Like they know what they need. And I love that we have an opportunity to listen. Right.
I love that. Do you find that students, because you say you do like an introductory thing, which I always encourage the counselors to do as well. Do you find that the kids are opening up to you? Are most kids pretty chatty or are they kind of closed off during these meetings?
I would say 99% of the kids every single year are very chatty, very comfortable. I mean, we have 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So, 4th graders and 5th graders are like, oh yeah, I remember this from last year or whatever. But even the 3rd graders, I feel like sometimes they could just talk and talk and talk and they want to tell me things and they will. They'll tell me, my family is splitting up this, this happened this summer, or, my grandparent passed away, or my dad's in prison or something. I mean, the kids are like, I'm really worried about the money at home. Kids have said that. And then that has, because we don't have, at least in our school system, we don't have access to any of those lists of like free and reduced lunch or anything like that. Like sometimes we don't know who is struggling financially. So, sometimes when kids have said that, I'm worried about not having enough money, or my mom is really upset because, we might lose our house or something. So they do, I think, very readily divulge.
Right. I feel like they're just waiting for someone to ask, right?
I think so too.
Yeah. So do you do this in September? So it's perfect timing for the episode. Do you do this later in the year as well, or just once a year?
Yeah. So historically, we've only done it once a year. 2 or 3 years ago, I did have an intern that was working with me and she needed to do like a school-based project. And she had done the revision of it in, I think, May or June. Okay. And that was really beneficial too, to see, the kids that we flagged in September, are they no longer flagged? Right. That was good. That was really good. I don't want to say that it's a huge undertaking. It's really not. If you think about 1 minute per kid.
Right.
It's worth it. It's very valuable, but we just, I think, have not ever really kind of gotten into the groove of redoing it just because the end of the year is so busy.
Oh yeah. And are the teachers pretty receptive to
They are
scheduling?
Very receptive. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they've seen a positive result from it as well.
Yeah.
And then tell me, you were saying you used an end of the year report, which, I love, to share this data with your admin. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I actually do a mid-year report instead of an end of the year report. And I started that a couple of years ago too, because again, I think the end of the year gets so busy. And then when I was doing an end of the year report, I felt like it just kind of went into somebody's mailbox and maybe they didn't really look at it. Right. So I think like January, kind of do like, this is the temperature of right now where we are. Right. So yeah, that goes in there as far as, the minute meetings that have been completed. The rest of my report is, things like how many crisis events have I responded to? How many meetings have I sat in? That's always really surprising because, I'm in all of the IEP meetings, and then we have some intervention meetings and things like that. When I do that mid-year report, sometimes it's hundreds and hundreds of meetings that already just mid-year.
Right.
So I put that in there. I've put in, how many kids I see for counseling, whether it's individual or group. And I also do 2 non-mandated groups. I do a divorce support group and a loss group, which are not mandated groups. So I've always put the number of kids in there. I think last year we had almost 50 kids in the divorce support group. So just saying this is a really valuable offering that we have, which is not really mandated. And like, I'm doing it, but if I were to leave, it's still really important, even if somebody didn't have it on their radar, that it really should be on our radar.
Now, what do you mean by your mandated groups? Are those for your IEP students?
No, it's just open for anybody. The divorce support and loss group is open for the entire school.
No, but when you said your mandated
groups would be my IEP students.
Your IEP, got it. Okay. Because some of our counselors are responsible for IEP students, but most of them are not. So most of our groups are kind of like, just like you said, the divorce one, just like as needed referral based data. Yeah. Amazing. Well, this has been so great. Thank you, Heidi. Like I said, perfect timing. I hope, you make it sound so simple. You shared your questions with us. Hopefully everyone can just kind of, replicate this at their site. Where can counselors connect with you if they have any questions about it or want to see how you do things?
Oh gosh. Well, I have a website that's connected to my school profile. It's just like a Google site, I guess. I have that. I guess I could send that to you, and
sure,
maybe
perfect.
you
We'll put it in
link
the
show notes or something. Yeah. So
okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was super cool to hear how you're doing things, and I love talking to psychologists and other people who aren't exactly school counselors, but super similar and always supporting kids in different ways.
Well, thank you. I really enjoy your podcast. I really do. It's, I feel like every single time I listen to it, there's something I take away from it. So I really do value there being, people who are doing the work and having the podcast. I don't know how you find time to do that, because I can only imagine it's the editing and like all of those things that seem very overwhelming, but thank you for doing it, because I think it's a really great service for the people in our field.
Thank you. No, I do enjoy doing it. And it's so nice to hear that, because sometimes it's just me alone in my bedroom talking to microphones. So I forget that other people are actually hearing it. So it's nice to hear that it's, you're liking it.
I do love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, awesome, Heidi. It was so great talking to you.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great school year.
You too.
Thanks for listening to School Counseling Simplified. You can find the links from today's episode in the show notes. If you'd like to connect with Rachel, she's on Instagram and Teachers Pay Teachers at Bright Futures Counseling. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any episodes of School Counseling Simplified. Talk to you next week.